Okay, so our story kicks off with John Garrity. He's a structural engineer. Then there's his estranged wife, Allison, and their young son, Nathan. Now, their family unit is already dealing with some personal challenges, and it's made more complex because Nathan has type 1 diabetes, requires an insulin pump. So life's complicated, but, manageable.
Right. They have their own world, their own problems.
Then the news breaks about this comet, Clark. At first, it's all presented as this spectacular flyby, a big celestial show.
Bit of excitement, maybe.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But that initial wonder just shatters when a presidential alert hits John's phone. It says he, Allison, and Nathan have been selected.
Right.
For relocation to a secret bunker.
And this really shows us something important, doesn't it? How quickly society can, well, not just unravel, but really fracture when facing an existential threat. The instant the comet's real danger is out there, you see that fragile veneer of order just crack. It exposes inequalities, a desperate every person for themselves mentality almost immediately.
Yeah, that shift is so fast.
It really is. That initial sort of collective fascination with Clark, it morphs almost instantly into this deep individualistic fear. It's a chilling look at how public sentiment can just turn on a dime when the stakes become truly, truly existential.
Absolutely. And as the Garritys are trying to process this unbelievable news, getting ready to leave, their immediate surroundings become this microcosm of the bigger chaos. Their neighbor warns them, hey, Clark isn't just one comet, it's a giant cluster of fragments.
Upping the ante even more.
Right. And then another neighbor desperately begs them, please take my daughter, because she knows the Garritys have this golden ticket, but John knows she'll just be turned away. They have to make that agonizing choice, leave her behind. Imagine that moment, choosing who you can save, who you can't. So the Garritys try to get to the assembly point, Robins Air Force Base, but it's just pure pandemonium.
Predictable? Maybe, but still shocking to see.
Traffic's totally gridlocked. They have to abandon their car. And in that frantic rush, Nathan unknowingly drops his insulin, his vital medication. They manage to get onto the base. They have these special wristbands, only to then realize the medicine is gone. John, of course, immediately runs back to the car to get it.
Allison, just trying to make sure Nathan's okay. She mentions his diabetes to a soldier, and what happens next is just a gut punch.
Oh, it's awful.
She and Nathan are immediately taken to see Major Breen, and he just coldly tells them, individuals with medical conditions like diabetes, not allowed on the plane. Allison pleads, begs, but it's useless. This policy, maybe designed for some perceived greater good or resource management, it creates this absolutely impossible dilemma. It just adds layers of personal horror onto the global catastrophe.
It's devastating.
Yeah.
And then John returns. He has no idea what's just happened.
Completely oblivious.
He tries to board the plane, holding the insulin he just retrieved. But another passenger spots it and, with this chilling lack of empathy, just blurts out the rule. So John gets off the plane. And just then, this desperate crowd breaks through the gates. Some are armed, a fuel pump gets knocked over.
Chaos erupts.
Total chaos. Fuel ignites, planes explode, people die. John barely escapes this fiery mess, runs back towards their car, only to find it's been broken into. But amidst all that destruction, there's this tiny, fragile thread of hope. Allison left a note. Meet us at my father's house in Lexington, Kentucky. So the family is separated. Each of them now on their own harrowing path, just clinging to this desperate hope of maybe finding each other again.
Allison and Nathan, they face these immediate, terrifying dangers that really stem from their specific vulnerabilities. She takes Nathan into a looted store to find medicine.
Oh yeah, that scene.
And comes face to face with armed looters. She literally has to plead for Nathan's life to get away.
And somehow it gets even more harrowing for her. She accepts a ride from what seems like a helpful couple, Judy and Ralph. But maybe in a moment of desperation, or perhaps just naive trust, Allison reveals her family was selected for the bunkers.
Big mistake. You feel it coming.
Yeah. Ralph sees his chance. He overpowers her, kidnaps Nathan, hoping he can use the boy's wristband to get himself and Judy onto a plane. Allison is just left stranded, devastated, until another family, in this incredible act of kindness, just gives her a ride towards the airport.
Meanwhile, John's journey is just as perilous, but it shines a light on a different kind of breakdown. He runs into looters, he sees more fragments falling, devastating impacts. He manages to make this brief, heartbreaking phone call to Allison, but then the line cuts out. Their last immediate connection severed.
Oh, that call is rough.
Yeah. He then hitches a ride on a truck, supposedly heading towards Canada. And on that truck, he learns from this young guy, Colin, that there are planes leaving from Canada, heading to secret bunkers in Greenland, a possible lifeline. But the truck also carries another passenger, Lucas. And Lucas finds out John was selected and that he's Scottish. He brutally attacks John, yelling that only America-born citizens should be saved.
Oh.
John, in this horrifying moment, has to defend himself. He ends up killing Lucas. It's not just a brutal action scene. It's this chilling insight into how quickly fear and desperation can weaponize existing prejudices. It just strips away any common humanity in that scramble for survival. Shows how easily that us versus them thinking turns deadly.
It's just unbelievable. But in a small miracle, amidst all this chaos, Allison does eventually reunite with Nathan. It happens at a medical camp near the airport. Nathan bravely tells a soldier he was kidnapped. It's such a fleeting moment of relief, isn't it? Like a necessary pause before the next impossible leg of their journey. So John eventually makes it. He gets to Allison's father, Dale's house in Lexington, and the family is reunited. It's this moment of just immense, raw relief. But even with the world literally ending outside, their own lingering marital tensions bubble up. John expresses this deep remorse for past infidelity.
Which is so human, isn't it?
It really is. It's this powerful layering of personal crisis on top of global one. It shows that even when the world is ending, our most intimate relationships or unresolved stuff, it still demands attention. They watch the news, see more devastating impacts happening globally. They learn the worst fragment, the planet killer, is expected to hit Europe the next day. It could kill, 70% of plant and animal life, over 75 million people. The scale is just almost impossible to grasp.
And it forces that fundamental question again. What do you possibly do when you're faced with odds that seem completely insurmountable? John remembers what Colin said on the truck about Greenland, and this final desperate plan starts to form, a tiny sliver of hope. But what really resonates here, for me at least, is Dale, Allison's father. He makes this poignant choice to just stay in his home, accept his fate.
Yeah, that hit hard. They leave in Dale's truck, heading for Canada, but the journey is far from over. They drive through upstate New York and face molten debris raining down, like actual fire falling from the sky.
Yeah.
A truly apocalyptic scene. They have to hide under an overpass, just desperately hoping to survive it. This sequence really hammers home the relentless physical dangers that are still out there, even after escaping the more immediate human threats.
Nature itself is the enemy now.
Exactly. They finally make it to this airfield in Canada, just as the last plane is literally taking off. John, in this act of pure desperation, blocks the plane with the truck. The pilot, understandably, refuses at first, but Allison just passionately pleads with him and convinces him to take all of them. It's this raw display of the human will to survive against all odds, an almost irrational act of hope.
And even getting on the plane doesn't mean they're safe, does it? They make it to Greenland's airspace, but then another fragment hits nearby, off the coast. The shockwave causes their plane to crash. Both pilots are killed. But in their very final moments, they manage to gesture towards another plane that's landing, indicating the bunkers are close.
Wow, even then.
Yeah, that small final act of guidance from a stranger, even as they're dying, it underscores a critical theme, I think. Survival in these extreme situations often comes down to just sheer luck, serendipitous timing, and maybe the unexpected kindness of others. So the family and the other survivors from the crash, they just race towards the underground entrance as Clark makes its final catastrophic impact. You see the Garrys embrace, feeling the ground shake from this unimaginable force. It's a moment filled with profound uncertainty, absolutely, but also one of shared humanity, of love enduring, even at the very, very end.
And then we jump forward. 9 months later, the atmosphere is starting to clear. We hear other stations, Sydney, New Delhi, Paris, starting to make contact with Greenland. Making these tenuous connections, survivors begin to emerge into what's left of the world, and the Garrys are among them. They're rejoicing at the sight of birds, just birds flying. It's this incredible symbol of life returning, of hope reborn.
It really is a powerful narrative about resilience, isn't it? It demonstrates the human spirit's capacity to endure and maybe even rebuild after something truly apocalyptic. It highlights how, when everything else gets stripped away, things like family, community, connection, they become the ultimate currency. This story suggests that real survival isn't just about, physical endurance. It's about preserving empathy, connection, that collective will to start again.
Indeed. So thinking about all this, what does it mean for you listening? In a world where, let's face it, catastrophe sometimes feels increasingly possible, this story really invites us to think about more than just physical survival. It makes you ask, what would you fight for? What would you be willing to let go of? And what would be your ultimate reason to hope when the sky itself is literally falling?
Yeah, and it leaves us with perhaps a provocative thought to ponder. If the world around you crumbled, how would you even define a good day? Would just be a day free from immediate threat? Or maybe something far simpler? What small, everyday miracle like those birds would you look for as a sign of life's enduring power? A reminder that even after unimaginable destruction, there might always be a flicker of hope.
Definitely food for thought. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, keep exploring and keep thinking.